back to the Casket podcast, your destination for all things gaming, including the latest in-game industry news, in-depth reviews, impressions, and much more. As always, I am the host, Mitchy Man, Mouse Man. I guess I don't know. I got too many nicknames. And as always, in the co-host chair is Drew Bean, Drewby Drew. Drewby, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. It's crazy that we're finally here. We are in E3 season, but not just that. We've got the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out midnight tomorrow.
In mere hours.
Yeah, I'm gonna be picking up my Switch tomorrow. So I'm super pumped for that. But yeah, crazy that we're here. I'm super hyped. My expectations are through the roof for a lot of stuff. So I'm excited to talk about where we're at with Summer Game Fest.
Drewby, I was thinking about this earlier and how almost every episode that we've done since we got back off the little hiatus is that you were like, it's the best time of year. E3 week's almost here. And I was thinking, like, this episode is like, it's E3 time.
Yeah.
Like, it's no more, we're here. We're in it. Summer Game Fest, the actual, window is here. We are days away from Summer Game Fest itself. Before that is the Nintendo Switch 2. This Sunday is the Xbox Game Showcase. Tomorrow, Sony has announced a State of Play, which is exciting. We're getting everyone at the table this year in 1 week. Because generally, Sony does it in May. They like to try and get out ahead of everyone else, but they're doing it 2 days before Summer Game Fest, which is insane.
Yeah. And
it feels like E3.
They're one of the partners for Summer Game Fest this year. So to me, I don't know. To me, that feels like it's going to be a pretty big year just for everyone. That's kind of where I'm at, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. But I think it's exciting that we literally have everyone here. We had Nintendo with their Switch 2 reveal a little bit early, but there's Switch 2 is also a partner for Summer Game Fest this year, so they're gonna have something at Summer Game Fest as well. PlayStation, Xbox has their showcase, so it's exciting. We haven't had this in a really long time, so it feels good to kind of get back to that tradition that we used to have.
As a matter of fact, this hasn't happened since E3. It's because Sony pulled out of E3 a few years before E3 stopped. So Sony being in this window this week leading up to every showcase, it's almost unprecedented in recent times, because even before COVID, because Summer Game Fest was the spawn of E3 dying essentially due to COVID. Well, it was dying beforehand, but COVID was the last dagger to put it out of its misery. But yeah, Sony pulling out was a huge thing, and then Nintendo also. They did their Treehouse Direct things, but now we have so many of those throughout the year that it almost doesn't even feel like it needs to be there.
Yeah.
2 quick points really quickly before we dive right in. Are you picking up your Switch 2 tomorrow night at midnight?
I am. Yeah.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I really wish I was doing that.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. They're going to have, apparently someone is going to be bringing a grill, and they're going to grill hot dogs. So we got glizzies at the launch party, baby.
Yes, sir.
They're going to have a Smash tournament. Now, I'm a little bit worried because glizzies and a Smash tournament, I don't know what they mean by that, but,
things are about to go down to the GameStop.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it's exciting. I haven't been to a midnight release probably since 2016, 2017. It was whenever Call of Duty World War II came out. That was the last midnight release that I went to.
2018? I'll fact check that. Keep going.
Yeah, fact check it. But it's been a long time since I've been to one. At least been able to participate in one. I've unfortunately worked at midnight releases before. And that's not as fun. But yeah, I'm so pumped, man. It's just now really starting to set in that I'm about to have the Switch 2 on my hands, and it's hype. I was watching a few videos today, actually, because a lot of people got flown out to different places to play Mario Kart World within like the last week or so. So they're like dropping all their like early impressions, and everyone is nothing but glowing. And some of the like content that they have for like side stuff, like doing stuff in the open world, is really cool. I was also seeing that whenever you go to matchmake, you get to like roam around in the world while everyone's loading up, choosing their characters and all that stuff, which is awesome. I love when games give us the ability to, be able to like play while we're waiting to load into a match. So I don't know, man. I'm pumped. Like, there's no other way to say it.
I have a follow-up question now. You said you work multiple midnight releases. What time do you usually get out of those?
I guess it really just it would depend on like what was launching. If it was something like Call of Duty, it was a while. Probably by like 1 a.m.
Okay, that's not as bad as I was thinking.
Yeah. But and it also probably depends on like location to location for sure.
That's true, yeah.
But I'm expecting it's going to be a little bit different because this is a console. I never got to experience that, so I'm assuming it'll be much, much busier, especially because Nintendo is expecting the Switch 2 to sell out week 1.
That's a good point. I've been to a few midnight launches, but it's been a long time, and I'm trying to think of the very last one. The one that pops into my head, I'm trying to look at the release date for Borderlands. No, that's not right. Okay, so the last one I went to is probably... I'm probably going to get these dates wrong, so I apologize. It was probably 2015 or 2016. It has to be. Because I went to a few CODs, which was pretty cool, because they had like different like stations set up with like the previous year's COD. And they would do like little like, I don't know, not tournaments, but just people playing COD. I got one console on midnight release, but it wasn't technically the midnight release for its original date. So I got the Destiny White PS4 bundle that came out like a year after it. So it was 2014 is when I got it, because that's when Destiny came out.
Yeah.
But it was still a midnight launch for the game and the console. So for me getting that, it's the same sentiment. Probably even more so back then, just because I can play everything but Mario Kart 2 on my Nintendo Switch right now. Did I say Mario Kart 2?
You did say Mario Kart 2. They're going back.
It's true. I got too many numbers in my head because I'm thinking like one midnight launch that I remember vividly is, I think it was the Evil Within launch the same night as Borderlands the pre-sequel, which is funny because Drew and I literally started Borderlands the pre-sequel last night with our homies Jay and Jimmy Jam, Walker Texas Ranger Man, which is pretty fun. Not as good as the other one so far, but that's kind of the sentiment around the game. I think it's not Drew's first time playing it, but it's my first time playing it.
It's everybody's first time playing it except for me.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it's pretty exciting because Jay and I beat Borderlands 1 and 2 together. I have the platinums I'm one trophy away from the platinum on Borderlands 2. I just have to respec my skill tree and get in there and get that last trophy. It's one of those annoying ones where it's a character trophy where you have to play so many hours just to get to that ability, and whatever. This is the Borderlands podcast. Yeah. But yeah, it was a double game, and that was the longest line that I've been a part of. And it was mostly for Borderlands, to be fair. But I was there for the Evil Within because I was stoked out of my mind for it. Pretty good game. I still need to play the second one.
I never played it either.
I own digital and physical of that game in multiple storefronts, and I still haven't played it.
Nice.
The Evil Within's pretty good. If you like old school, to me back then, it felt like the modernization of Resident Evil 4 before the remake was there.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a decade almost. But I'm not going to say it just because I don't know off the top of my head, but one of the original creators of Resident Evil left that studio and then went to Tango to make to make Leave It Within.
Yeah.
And since this episode is the Summer Game Fest predictions episode, which you'll see from the title, but we haven't gotten there yet. Before we do that, the one piece of news I do want to say and celebrate is that Tango Studios GameWorks, I think it's Tango GameWorks, right?
Yeah, Tango GameWorks
is back. This has been a thing that Shadow dropped this week. I think it was Monday, and at the beginning of the week, they've been working on it for a little bit. They finally got it back up and running. Apparently, it takes a very long time to get a studio back up and running.
Yeah.
And they're hiring for their next game, which is like an action game, apparently. Probably something akin to Hi-Fi Rush. Probably not the same like direction or anything, but obviously they're going in a much more action-oriented thing because that seems to be successful with them. So, shout out Tango. Welcome back. Your games are awesome. Excited to have you back.
Yeah.
But without further ado, Drew, we are here for one thing today. Later in the week, you're going to be getting 3 pieces of content from us. This week, you're getting Summer Game Fest predictions. You're going to be getting the State of Play reactions, followed by an Xbox predictions episode. So, last week when we normally record, I had a really bad migraine on top of a cough that were both entwined and enjoying torturing me. So we didn't get an episode out last week, unfortunately, and I apologize for that. But you're getting plenty of it this week, and we'll be doing a reaction to the showcases next week for Summer Game Fest and Xbox, and we'll be tallying up our scores from our predictions and seeing who gets more right. So without further ado, Drew, Summer Game Fest predictions episode. On a scale of 1 to 10, Drew, what's your hype level for this one? Because last year, Jeff had to come out and say, guys, tamper your expectations. This is not going to be the banger events that I'm used to putting on. Like, just manage your expectations. And Drew and I were gaming the other night, and before we got off for the night, because it was like, I don't know, like 2 a.m. or something, we were up pretty late. Felt good, though. But anyways, we were skimming through some game announcements from last year. And we were like, we don't remember it being this poor. But, man, there is a lot of things in that showcase that were just not good. So where are you at in 2025 leading up? We are currently, 3 days away? So where are we at? What's the hype? What's the expectations?
So I had gone back and forth, especially after we, took a look at last year's. I was going back and forth on my hype levels. Because Summer Game Fest has always been more low key. It hasn't been, the E3 that we know and love. But they always have had, at least 1 or 2 things each year that are like pretty substantial. But I think this year's going to be different. We're kind of entering, I'd say like the last phase of these consoles. We already know that the next gen consoles are going to be out in like the next 3 years. And so I think we're going to get a big push for some heavy hitting titles within the next few years. Obviously, like we have GTA 6 next year. We've got Witcher 4 probably in the next 2 years. And so I don't know. I have a strong feeling that we're going to be getting a bigger showcase this year for Summer Game Fest than we have previously. And I think there's a few indicators for that. First off, we haven't had Jeff come out and say, hey, this is going to be a low-key show. We haven't had anyone in the industry, like we haven't had Jeff Grubbs or anyone else say like, hey, lower your expectations. To me, that feels like we've got a substantial show coming. And then also the partners that they have this year, them having Sony, them having Nintendo, Xbox, but then also you've got 2K, you've got Amazon, you've got, a plethora of other big publishers and studios who have been working on games that have, been announced for years, that I think are going to finally be ready to show. And that's where some of my predictions are going to be coming in. So
So on a scale of 1 to 10, where you at?
I think I'm at an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not too far off me. I'm gonna go 7.5. I think doing the prep for the pod this week, at least for this episode, has lended itself very well to me. Because I go through the ebbs and flows of the roller coaster of like, it's E3 week. No matter what, I'm gonna enjoy this time because it's video games with my friends. We're gonna be watching with a bunch of our friends, and we always react, whether it's on Discord or in a group chat. That's always fun, no matter what. I think that's probably why we don't have as harsh of a memory on last year's as we do, like the sour taste that we have right now. And then a couple days ago, I was like, man, for the same reasons that you gave, that like there hasn't been a ton this generation from some of the big name developers, and we know lots of reasons why, and devs being laid off, etc., etc. But it feels like this year could either go two ways. It's either we're going to get a lot of bangers from the third party, or we're just going to get what we got last year, which is a lot of updates on smaller titles, triple or double A, maybe some indies, and that's kind of where I sit. Where like my excitement grows by the day because we're getting closer and closer. We're getting more developers and studios coming out and being like, hey, we're going to be at Summer Game Fest, like the show, not Day of the Devs. Like today, Dying Light announced that they're going to be there with the release date for Dying Light the Beast, which is their third entry in the Dying Light series, which is pretty awesome. We need to return to Dying Light 2.
Now that it's fixed.
That it's not literally broken. Drewby and I tried to play with a friend or two of mine when this thing came out, and we could not even connect to each other in the game. It was awful.
Yeah, and it wasn't just for like launch day. It was like that for weeks. So
it's true.
We just kind of gave up on it.
I played a lot of Dying Light, the first one, solo.
Same.
And I just didn't have that same thing for Dying Light 2. I wanted to play it with my friends. We had all like bought it to play together.
Yeah.
And so that turned me off. But now I think it might be a good time to go back. We'll see what the release date looks like for the Beast coming up. But yeah, I think that that graphic's not misleading that you're referencing. Where like Sony and them are going to be there. Like PlayStation's 100% going to be there. Xbox has their own thing, and they could even do like a. Hopefully this isn't one of your predictions coming up, but like I could see Xbox, like an Xbox port being at SGF versus the Xbox showcase, right? Whereas like you don't want to spend time being like, oh, and this game's coming to PlayStation. It's like, no, you want to focus on your first party software that's coming to the Xbox. You still have to sell this pipe dream to Xbox users in 2025 and beyond. So that's kind of where I come down. And like when CD Projekt, for example, today they unveiled a Unreal kind of like tech demo for The Witcher 4. Do we see anything else from CD Projekt after today? I don't think so. But considering this is like the window for Summer Game Fest, like I feel like that might be the only thing we get, and like that logo has already been like used. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing for the Nintendo Switch as well. I feel like it just releasing, and there might be like some like Nintendo Switch 2 editions announced at Summer Game Fest, but I'm not expecting anything like mind-blowing, though I would absolutely welcome it. I think that's just more the cynic in me, but I'm still excited, and we'll get to the reasons why here in a little bit. But what we do here, if you've been a long-time listener or a first-time listener of the Casket Minds podcast, this podcast started 2 years ago for Summer Game Fest. That's actually not true. Let's rewind a little bit. It started because of the PlayStation Showcase, which is the last PlayStation Showcase. So we might have actually jinxed it, Drewby. We may have caused the downfall of PlayStation.
Yeah.
Not themselves shooting themselves in the foot multiple times and then looking around the room seeing who shot them. It was us all along. It reminds me of the Office quote where is it? Yeah. It's Michael, and he's like, if I was in a room with Hitler, Stalin, and Toby, I would shoot Toby twice. That was us.
Yeah.
We shot PlayStation twice.
We put them in a casket with our minds.
True.
Yeah.
Dude, good callback reference. I like that. So we started this as a prediction thing because this is something that we did in our group chat anyway. We've done it for years. But we wanted to make it into a podcasting form because we just love talking about video games, clearly. So we started this 2 years ago as predictions. We started with predictions episodes, and then we did reactions and all that kind of good, fun stuff. So if you've been here since then, you kind of know how it works. But for those who haven't been here since then, this is how it works. Drewby and I are going to bring 5 predictions to the table. 3 of them are going to be locks that we think are absolutely 100% going to happen. It can still be wrong, but it's just something that we feel is going to happen. We're going to pick the closer, the game that we think is going to end the showcase. And then we're going to do a swing for the fences prediction, which is something that's probably unrealistic. It could happen, or it could never happen in a million years. And if it happens, hey, it's fun. If it doesn't, you just don't get a point. Who cares? We like to have fun here on the Cassie Minds podcast.
That right? We do.
But Drewby, before we get into this thing, actually, no. I'm going to save that for later. Give me your very first lock. Oh, I should probably do the we don't have like a great system when it comes to like giving points for these, but like if we want to do some modifiers, we'll just do it live. Like we'll talk it out.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, seriously. So we're bringing 5 predictions, so 5 points. But if we do like modifiers, like I'll give you a fake example, but it applies to like a real game. So like if I said that GTA 6 was launching in 2026, right? And then like I gave a date, or I could say like it's coming in 2026, and then if I wanted to get like a bonus, like half a point or something, I can give an exact date, and if it was right, then whatever. But that's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean. Modifiers can give you a little extra points. So Drewby, lock number 1. What do you got me?
Lock number 1. So one of the developers who is on the partner list, I am blanking on the name off the top of my head, so I apologize. You know what? I'm just gonna look it up because I gotta feel like I gotta shout out these devs. Kinetic Games, the developers of Phasmophobia. They are listed. They gave a roadmap for this year. They're reworking a few maps. They're adding a new map. They're adding, a bunch of other new content, rehauling a few things. One thing that they talked about for 2026, but they said will reveal at a later date, is what they're calling Horror 2.0. They're going to completely rehaul the horror system. They're going to add new ghosts. They're going to add new ghost models, animations, new scares. They're going to add jump scares. Basically their goal is to just make the game a lot scarier. And there's also a few other things that they're wanting to do. I think they were going to make the voice prompts more responsive from the ghosts and like react to like some of your reactions and stuff like that. So I think that that's a very realistic thing that we'll see here, is showing us like what's next for the game. I don't really think, since they're such a small team, I highly doubt that they're going to show a new game. I think it would make a lot of sense for them to show what's next for Phasmophobia there. So that's my first lock.
Drewby, I gotta tell you, that put a big old smile on my face. So if you're not watching this episode of the podcast, go to YouTube and wait for Drewby to deliver that lock to me and watch me smile like a dumb idiot. Drewby and I love Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
It's something that we've actually just attracted Jay to, so now we have a 4-player squad. We played it actually last week, and it was some of the most fun I've had in a very long time playing a multiplayer game. And just adding it, making it even scarier, is going to be amazing. But the sheer fear that it's going to instill in Jim is going to be
he's never leaving the truck.
so listen up, chat. Jimmy Jam Walker, Texas Stranger, man, says that he loves horror and that he loves being scared, but this man will not use the voice box or the spirit box to talk to a ghost. So hopefully he doesn't listen to this episode so that we can get him to use it before it gets even scarier, because it's going to be amazing. Drew, I hope that's true. That's incredibly exciting. That's a very good game that could become even greater.
Yeah.
And man, God, I hope that's true. I really want that to be true.
Same.
I really don't want them to move on from Phasmophobia. So unless they're doing a sequel or like a half step, or I don't know, something horror related that's multiplayer, that's the only way I'm accepting them moving away from Phasmophobia right now. That's a good one, Drew. I'm excited for that. God, I hope that's true. That's more exciting than anything that I have put down, in my opinion.
Dang.
So, lock number 1. Phantom Blade Zero is shown, and there is a release date. There was hands-on experiences all around the world last year. It's been pretty quiet since. I don't think there's been any like updates or trailers or anything. But last year, Phantom Blade Zero is what closed Summer Game Fest. And that's pretty much, besides like the hands-on stuff, that's all we've heard. Like it's been pretty dark. I really hope this is true because it looks like a very cool game. One of my only worries is that it might be at the State of Play, but since it was the closer of Summer Game Fest last year and it still doesn't have a date, I'm feeling like it's got to be here. Like it's just got to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my first lock. Not something super exciting, but it's something that I want to see, and I think that it's going to be here. I think
that'd be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see it again. I think it looks sick. I hope it gets a release date for this year. Even honestly, that would be really cool.
Like a fall date would be really good for this. Maybe like September, October.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good sweet spot for a game like that.
For sure.
But I guess you're running into Ghost of Yotai, if you're worried about that. You can push it to November. Nothing's happening in November.
Yeah.
GTA's not happening, so who cares? Just
yeah.
Somewhere. Release this game. All right, Jeremy. Lock number 2. What you got?
Lock number 2. Arc Raiders has been, play tested a ton over the last few years. I was invited to like some of their earlier playtests, but I never got the chance to play them, unfortunately. But they just had a really, really big push for a test, actually while Marathon was getting tested. And a lot of people started playing Marathon, like big streamers, content creators, and then they were like, actually, I'm going to go to Arc Raiders, which sucks. It sucks that Marathon is shaping the way that it is right now, and we'll talk about that at a different time. But the reception for Arc Raiders has been nothing but glowing. There's a lot of awesome gameplay for it. It's just super cinematic. Honestly, like the best way that I can describe it, even though it's nothing similar in terms of like gameplay or whatever, but the way that you feel when you're playing like EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2 is kind of what I would describe the way that the Arc Raiders gameplay looks. Like there's just so much like happening in the world that's unscripted, that just it feels like you're playing a cutscene in a way. And so to have that in an extraction shooter is really cool. To have all this good buzz around it, people really seem to like gravitate towards it a lot. We know that Embark is going to be at Summer Game Fest. We don't have a release date yet for Arc Raiders, and just judging by the last playtest, it looks like it's near completion. So I think that they're going to give us a release date, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Or maybe they'll do like an early access in June. But I think I could see them doing either a shadow drop or like a pseudo shadow drop of like, hey, release date later in June, you can play it. I think that would give them a massive leg up on Marathon, and would kind of that would set in stone kill that game. So Yeah, that's my second lock.
Yeah, if that game comes out before Marathon, Sony better do everything in their power to delay Marathon.
Yeah.
I'm actually half expecting them to delay it at the State of Play, and honestly, it's for the better.
Yeah.
People that have been attached to that game in terms of like the community, like driven not information, but like the consulting, like Paris Lilly, for instance, are calling for the game to be delayed, and that's not good. When he's not a brand ambassador by any means, but like he's been a part of this development cycle in terms of just like being on the inside of it, like giving feedback and stuff. And if he's telling you to delay it, like at a certain point, you can't close Bungie, right? You can't kill Marathon. You can't be dead on arrival.
Yeah.
So you need to delay it and give it a shot at another time, whether that's 6 months or a year down the road. You cannot release this game and let it fail, and you cannot release this game after Arc Raiders, who's eating your lunch currently in early access form. You just don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
I'm really, really worried about Marathon, but we'll talk about that in another time, apparently. Or not apparently, but obviously. Because we don't know what tomorrow, when the State of Play drops, it might be there. But there's rumors and speculation that the marketing has been cut for the game, at least significantly. We'll see. Marathon is something that Drew and I were looking forward to. I still never got into the playtest. I never got to play this freaking game. And I guess as a quick disclaimer, we did a live reaction to it, and that was our first and only live reaction so far. It's up on YouTube at Casket, if you guys want to go watch that.
Speaking of,
go ahead.
I know we talked about the possibility of doing live reactions to Summer Game Fest and the Xbox Showcase. I'd still totally be down for that. So
we'll look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what was I talking? Oh yeah, we're talking about the Marathon. Okay. So we were very high on that game when the internet was completely shitting on it. Just in case if anyone comes in later and is like, these guys were paid. No, we weren't paid. We were just very excited for the game.
I wish we were paid.
Yeah, seriously. But I can see a comment already of being like, these guys, all this positivity, they gotta be being paid. It's like, no, we just like Bungie, and
we like video games.
Yeah, we like video games. Drewby still have got to play it, which I'm still envious of. But yeah, I still haven't got to play it. So Bungie, if you're watching, let me play the game before you kill it, please.
Yeah.
I just want to try it. I just want to play it a little bit. You know what I mean? At this point, I'm just gonna steal your account. Just play it. It's ridiculous. Is it still up?
No, it's not.
So I didn't know how long it was going.
Yeah, it was a very short play test. I mean, like it was a week probably, but they needed more than that.
It felt like longer. I felt like Squidward watching all my friends play Marathon and not me.
Yeah.
Bullcrap. Anyways, yeah, I'm excited for Arc Raiders. Question for you though: that's a third person game, right?
It is a third person, which is very interesting because I don't think there's ever been a third person extraction shooter before. At least not a notable one. So, yeah, it really seems to be like setting itself apart from every other extraction shooter right now. The premise is very different, and I think like just from like the perspective of like the AI and that you fight like the NPC enemies like really feel substantial. I don't know, there's just something about it that really shines in comparison to a lot of other extraction shooters. So I think my hype levels for that game are a lot higher than they were before. I really enjoyed playing the finals, which was also developed by Embark. And that game had a lot of potential, and it's still a good game, but it had a lot more potential to be a much like bigger force in the like FPS space right now. And sadly it isn't. because I think it's such a cool concept. But so I was already expecting this to be like pretty good, but just hearing the absolute rave about it from everyone, I'm really really excited to play it.
The finals was such a force when it came out. Like, I feel like all of my friends that were just like casual, like, Call of Duty, like, the 2K players, like the 40% of the gaming force, who played like 1 to 2 games a year.
Yeah.
Everyone was on that game.
Yeah.
And then like a month or two later, everyone just fell off. Was it due to just not giving like because I remember they had cosmetics pretty soon, like in season 0. They had a battle pass, or at least one coming very soon after I dropped off.
Yeah.
And, like, what happened?
I just think that there wasn't enough, like, new content right away in terms of, like, new maps and modes and weapons and stuff. And then also, I'm pretty sure Black Ops 6 released, like, shortly after. So, that'll do it to you.
Yeah. It's also so hard to capture the minds of millions and keep them there.
Yeah.
It's why Sony chasing the live service thing was such a dumb thing in hindsight, I guess, because obviously they made this shift when everyone was home during COVID and everyone and their mom was playing video games. But it's like, you have the finals come out, like, Apex is still a titan, but it's nowhere near talked about as much anymore. It's like Call of Duty and Fortnite are your two huge games, and everyone else is just vying for some little bit of the pie. Even Battlefield, which was a juggernaut back in the day, is now struggling to keep going. Like, if Battlefield 6 comes out and it doesn't do good, we might not see another Battlefield for a very long time.
Yeah.
If not ever. Like, the last 2 releases, 5 and then 2042, have dramatically underimpressed, both critically, from a fan thing, from sales. It's insane to watch the downfall that happened in front of my eyes, but I'm hoping Battlefield 6 is going to be good. Everything that I've seen so far looks promising, but that's the first-person shooter space, unfortunately. Fortnite still going strong, despite the season kind of being a lull, even from like a Epic Games perspective. Like, I saw the other day that the numbers are like dramatically down for the Star Wars season.
Yeah,
rightfully so, because that thing can be frustrating as hell. But it's the first mini season, so there's going to be growing pains. But Drewby and I were on Fortnite last night. We still love it. We love Star Wars too, so it's kind of a no-brainer for us. But
for sure,
getting one shot when you have 100 shield and 100 health by a freaking green shotgun is infuriating.
Yeah.
We didn't rage quit last night, but we got pretty close, Drewby.
For sure, for sure.
But getting it back to Summer Game Fest, because we're mere days away. We're going to have the Switch 2 before Summer Game Fest, which is insane. I'm so excited for this thing, and just this weekend, and thinking that, like, we can play Mario Kart World beforehand is absolutely nuts. It's bananas. Bonanza. Donkey Kong Bonanza, out July 17th. Not sponsored by Nintendo. Nintendo, please sponsor me.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Please pay us. You can pay some bananas if you like.
Honestly, valid.
Yeah.
Would you be my Diddy Kong?
Dude, I would. 100%.
Dude, that'd be epic.
Yeah.
You know what else would be epic, Drewby?
Epic Games.
A little bit, but not where I'm going. For my lock number 2, ROG Ally 2 is the Xbox integration into Summer Game Fest. Here's my reason. Xbox is clearly focused on their software, and when they do their Xbox showcases, those things are so nitty, tidy. They're game. Let's talk about this game to set up this game. Game. I don't think that there's room in their current showcase for hardware, especially not first-party hardware. Windows Central, Jez Gordon has reported this week that the internal handheld that Microsoft is developing themselves has been put on hold for now. But there's a leak of the Ally ROG 2, which has an Xbox version. It's black and it has the the ABY or ABXY buttons from Xbox, and they're the colored buttons. It's very clearly Xbox orientated. The reason that Microsoft is not doing, or they put it on pause, is to make the Windows 11 features on the handhelds better, like a better experience. And so I think that we get it here. Another reason that I think that we get it here is not only just due to the fact that Xbox usually don't unveil their own hardware, sadly. The Series X was announced at the Game Awards, which is a Jeff Keighley event, in December of 2019, obviously for the release in 2020. I feel like it's going to be another Jeff Keighley thing where they might even be a partner, because in the past they've teamed up with Steam to give away Steam Decks. They could do the same thing here with ROG Ally. But I think that handheld is shown here instead of Xbox. That's my lock number 2. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's very realistic. I think it would be super exciting too. It sucks that they're putting the Xbox handheld on hold right now. But with their push right now of Xbox being anywhere, Xbox being anything, that makes sense to me. It's like, it's the writing's on the wall there. So I think that's a very, very strong possibility for being there. I'm really curious if, are they just gonna show specs for this thing? Is it just gonna be like a cool video? Are they gonna actually show a little bit of gameplay of a game running on it? I think that would be cool if they did that, and maybe even if they had some sort of tease for the Xbox showcase within the handheld. I don't know. I think that would be a cool way to kind of just get people hyped up. But at the very least, I really do think that we're gonna see it there for sure.
So in my mind, what I was thinking was it would definitely be a hardware reveal where you get the cool little slick motion package where it's the camera will sweep over it. It'll say, it'll give the specs, which will probably be the strongest handheld on the market if it comes out this year. It's not hard when you're releasing a new one year after year, especially for the mobile hand space. That thing is growing by the day, the second, really. But yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about the gameplay aspect, but they could be they could show off Fable Combat or something on it, or Gears E-Day on it, and and everyone would be like, ooh, are they going to show that on Sunday? That would be really good free marketing for themselves.
For sure.
That's actually pretty smart.
Xbox, hire me. I'm an Xbox already,
It's true. He's doing what your employees aren't doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So at this rate, Phil Spencer Jr., who knows? We got Doug Bowser. Where's Doug Bowser Jr.? That's Ryan.
That is Ryan. My
Nintendo dog. Shout out Ryan.
Yep. Smashcast. Listen to that podcast. It's really cool. We've been on it before.
100%. If you need an elevator pitch, he's playing through every game that features every single Smash character that's been in a Smash game. He's playing the origin of each character, and then does an episode on each game. Super cool. Drewby and I are going to be on it. We've been on it, and we're going to be on it again for individual games. I'm doing Metroid, the original one, in July. I believe Drewby's doing one as well. What is it, Drewby? Do you know?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I will if there's a slight possibility that we may do a Switch 2 review on his pod, so I'll probably be there for that. So
yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've said that on the pod yet. Drew and I both have Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders confirmed. Drew's going to the midnight launch, as we've talked about here today, actually. But I got one as well. Mine's being shipped. It'll be here sometime Thursday, hopefully. If Best Buy doesn't fuck me like they always try to do. Best Buy, if you're listening to this, don't you do it. Don't you do it to me.
Yeah, don't you dare.
But what you need to do to me, Drewby, is you need to give me that lock 3.
Lock 3.
What's that third lock?
Alright, so this one...
Is it juicy?
It's juicy. Alright. Amazon Games is one of the first listed, right? They have been working with Crystal Dynamics on the new Tomb Raider game for at least like 3 to 4 years now. It is time. They, like, over the last year have released a new logo for Tomb Raider. They've come out with concept art for the new game. We just recently had all those remasters. It really feels like Tomb Raider's in this spot of like, all right, it's time. We're here. We're bringing it back. So I think that we're finally going to get a reveal for the new Tomb Raider. I am both super excited, but I'm also like a little bit not worried, but I'm just interested which direction they're taking it in.
Same.
I loved Tomb Raider 2013. I loved Rise of the Tomb Raider. The last one, did not like it. I beat it and I actually returned it like in a day. I was like, man, this was beyond disappointing. It wasn't developed by Crystal Dynamics though, so I think that was part of the problem.
Was it?
Nope, it was Eidos Montreal.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's when they were doing a lot of stuff at that time, Eidos Montreal.
Yeah. So it was a weird time for that. It just didn't feel like the sequel and the follow-up that it should have been to Rise, especially when Rise like set up so much stuff. I feel like they kind of like backtracked on a lot of it. There's some cool things they did with it, but I'm curious because the concept art that they released gave off the vibe of like it looks more like classic Tomb Raider. I think it would be really cool if they continued like this trilogy, but kind of brought it a little bit more back to the roots of Tomb Raider. You can still have it be gritty, but like maybe just make it a little bit more like puzzle driven and not as much of an action game. Make it more adventure. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, I think it's time. I think it's gonna happen. And I would be super hyped if they reveal it.
I think you're right. I think Tomb Raider's here. It's not any of my predictions, but it's one of those things where I listed down, I jotted down a few games that, if we weren't going to talk about them, that I was going to ask if you think they're going to be there. That was one of them. I'm happy that you think that's a lock, because I think that it should be as well. I think it's time to at least see it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come out this year, I think it needs to be teased. I hadn't seen that concept art. I went to go look for it a minute ago, and I couldn't find it either, but that was a quick Google search. I found a lot of concept for 1996, but none for the new one. That's exciting. I hate that yours is way more exciting than mine, in my opinion, but I also went for safe things, you know what I mean?
That's fair.
I'm too competitive.
That's fair.
I'm too competitive, Drew. I need to freaking simmer down a little bit. except for if Jim's listening, then screw off, Jim.
Yeah.
Right, pal.
Go freaking use the spirit box, you little baby.
Go drink some Cholula. You know what I mean? You little hot sauce freak.
Yeah.
Say you like hot food. You little sissy. Everyone's probably like, these guys hate Jim.
Hey, listen,
right.
we do, but we love him.
Yeah,
we love him with hate.
He won't move to North Carolina. It's his problem. It's his biggest flaw. Derby, my last lock number 3 for me, is something that I partially 100% think's happening. And the other part of me is like, I think there might be another one of these types. Maybe multiple. We'll see. Lock number 3. Liza P. Overture DLC. It's going to be shown. It's going to be shadow dropped. That day. Here's my reasoning. It had a hands-on preview event a few weeks ago. BDM Press got to go down to LA. They got to play an, I wouldn't say extended hands-on, but it was a unique one. So I listened to a podcast. I believe it was the Kind of Funny Games cast on it. Andy Cortez from Kind of Funny went down to play it, and the way that he was describing it was that there was 2 different methods of playing the game. There was a boss run version, and there was one with exploration. And after like an hour or so, they would switch. But they were playing it in a weird sense of like the boss rush was part of the exploration when he got to the exploration side. So like when you were exploring, you would find the rooms that you were fighting the bosses in.
Yeah.
And the other one was obviously just doing boss to boss to boss. That's what a boss run is. For those, I guess, who don't know, or just me talking too much. But the fact that it's been labeled for summer 2025 for a good while now, pretty much since the inception and the announcement of it.
Yeah.
The fact that it doesn't have a date yet, and we're 2-3 weeks away from officially summer happening. I think we're like 21 days, something like that. Yes, 3 weeks. I think it's possible that this one's going to be the shadow drop. Now, on the other hand, the reason I'm 100% confident this is there. I think no matter how it's shown, it is dated, whether it's for the shadow drop or not. I do think that it's dated, but I have a genuine fear that might not be the shadow drop, because Yacht Club's there. Mina the Hollower is going to be there. That could be the shadow drop. Hollow Knight Silksong is the thing that's dangling by a thread, quite literally and pun intended, from dropping. I don't know how this game isn't out yet, but I feel like when the next time that it's properly shown, and not in a Nintendo Switch reel, I guess, that it's going to shadow drop.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I want to say something about Silksong real quick.
Hit me.
Xbox Showcase shadow drop.
Yeah?
Or at the very least, release date there, because they've historically shown that game at Xbox Showcases. We know it's coming to Game Pass. I would be disappointed if it would be at Summer Game Fest.
A little bit, actually. Yeah, I think so as well. I got a really juicy prediction for Xbox when we do the prediction in a couple days. I'm really excited for it. I think you and the audience is really gonna like it.
I can't wait to hear it.
We'll get there. Hopefully, it doesn't leak before, because that would be balls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my lock number 3. How do you feel about it, Liza P DLC?
Yeah, that's another one of those things that like totally makes sense to me. And if I remember correctly, whenever they revealed that game, I don't remember, was it at Summer Game Fest or was it at like the original Liza P? I can't remember if it was at Summer Game Fest or the Game Awards.
It was one of the Keighley events, I do.
Yeah. Whatever showcase it was at, they released the demo. They shadow dropped the demo like day of. So they have like historically done stuff like that for Liza P before. They have that, established relationship with Jeff Keighley. I think that would be really cool. I definitely think a lot of people would jump in on that. Seems like one of those things that makes a lot of sense, and would generate a lot of hype.
It may have been announced at a Sony event.
Okay.
Because I'm looking quickly just at YouTube. IGN has it posted for May 19th, 2021, as the official announcement trailer. That would be Sony territory.
Gotcha.
For a State of Player showcase. But either way, I mean, those are all intrinsically tied together, whether they want to label it as not.
Yeah.
Headcanon always prevails, and it still counts. Yeah, I still feel like this is a Keighley level event thing, especially if it's obviously shadow drop. They want to get it out to as many players as possible. Yeah, but really cool. I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah.
Drewby, before we get into what our next pick would be, which would be the closer, I did a little digging. All right, I looked up the Summer Game Fest history. Because originally when we did the first episode, we did over predictions. We did what we thought was going to open the showcases and what we thought was going to close them. This is a lot better than I was thinking. Obviously, some are way bigger than the others, but it also lends to my closer. But we'll get there. All right. So let's go year by year. So in 2020, just a brief history here for Summer Game Fest. In 2020, obviously there was a massive global pandemic. E3's throat was slit. Finally, good riddance, I guess. Just kidding. We love you, E3. Come back sometime. Yeah. Just kidding. Don't, because this is awesome too. We're just gonna mourn E3 for a few minutes here. I'm just kidding. We're not gonna do that. All right. So 2020 is when Summer Game Fest happened. But in my notes, I put "You are not real," just like the meme from a year or two ago. And before we were prepping the show, and I read that to myself, my own note, and I started busting out laughing while Drew was explaining something to me, and I felt really bad, but it's also pretty funny, so it's all right. All right, so there wasn't an actual showcase this year. There wasn't enough to gather, and obviously we were all kind of stuck inside from when this happened. But what this was in 2020 was from May until August/September, there was just these mini updates from each developer, each studio, each publisher, of just being like, hey, this is what we're doing, because we still are making games even from our houses. It was kind of weird, it was kind of awkward, but that was the entirety of 2020 as a whole. That year was kind of it's like a before Christ, after Christ kind of thing for me, where it's like, this was before the pandemic. I was thinking about this earlier, actually, not to get too off the rails, but for the Outer Worlds, that was a 2019 game. That was before the pandemic. Yeah. And I was sitting there thinking about that, and I was like, man, we're getting a 6-year gap between those two games. I'm interested to see how that looks. But This is the Outer Worlds podcast, or the Xbox Predictions episode that's coming later to you this week. This is the Casket podcast, Summer Game Fest predictions. So we're going to go to 2021, Derby. Teeny Tina. Jesus.
Teeny Tina. That's awesome.
Tiny Tina Wonderlands open the showcase. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna play that a few weeks to months here as we prepare for Borderlands 4. Drewby, but this is the biggest one, the biggest reveal. And it was the first actual year of the actual showcase. They revealed Elden Ring. The first time we saw George Railroad Martin, and Miyazaki's name together in the reveal trailer. The amazing reveal trailer that game was.
Yeah.
Was Jeff Keighley on the Summer Game Fest stage, the first year. We go to 2022, where Street Fighter is announced and shown at Summer Game Fest. Opens the show. Unfortunately, we knew the closer because the internet unfortunately sucks. It was The Last of Us Part 1 remake. Neil Druckmann came out and was like, hey guys, yeah, we're making this game. And everybody was like, wow, yeah, we totally didn't see that on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's still a huge announcement. As much as people love to clown on The Last of Us, sometimes rightfully so, that is one of the biggest properties in gaming. It's one of the biggest shows in the world for a reason. Jeff getting that as a closer is obviously a huge thing. But now we're getting to my personal favorite year, Droopy. 2023. The game that opened the showcase is a game that everyone that's listening to this podcast, everyone in the world, and including my co-host, Droopy Drew. The opener of that year was Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. It's probably $20 now at this point. Everyone, just go play it. Just go play it. If you have PlayStation, I'm pretty sure if you subscribe to the PlayStation Network, is that what you just call it? PlayStation Plus, whatever. I'm old. PlayStation Network is usually what we call it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's free if you subscribe there. Almost at any tier. I could be wrong on that. The tiers are really stupid. I don't like them. But it's a great game. Everyone should play it. That's what opened 2023. It was the announcement of that.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see a pattern here, Drewby. We're opening the show with an unveiling, and we're closing the show not with an unveiling. which is interesting. We'll get there. But the game that closed 2023 was another epic, giant, massive masterpiece. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The official reveal, the amazing trailer that was. I actually rewatched that trailer as I was doing the research. I was like, man, that was a great trailer.
It was, yeah.
I remember just sitting there. That was before I had played the original Final Fantasy VII too. I had only played Remake. And I still got chills. I got even more chills this time. I still need to finish that game. I suck. But you know what also sucked, Drewy? 2024 Summer Game Fest. Unfortunately, this was also a leak game. If you don't want to call it a leak, you can call it the worst industry kept secret. Lego Horizon Adventures is what opened that game, the Game Fest. A game that I've heard no one talk about, or anyone that I know of play, actually. I'm a huge Horizon fan, so I'm surprised that I haven't had any interest in this, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure this game hasn't been on sale significantly. If it has, I probably don't have it wishlisted, so that's probably my bad. But we talked about it in one of my predictions. The game that closed last year was Phantom Blade Zero, which in my opinion, Drewy, is the weakest of the 4 years that they've done it. You could argue The Last of Us Part 1, I think, just due to the fact that it's a known entity.
Yeah.
But it getting a full remake to make it look on par with The Last of Us Part 2, and obviously rebranding to Part 1, is pretty cool. And that's not a dig at Phantom Blade Zero. I just think that due to the fact that it's a new IP from because, I mean, let's be real, Elden Ring ended up being one of the biggest games of all time.
Yeah.
Especially for new IP. Obviously, when you have George Railroad Martin on anything following Game of Thrones hype, Miyazaki from Software, who's since then become an industry-changing studio. And then you have Final Fantasy VII, the sequel, the middle part. It's inevitable that the new IP is going to be, the lesser.
Yeah.
So, Jerby, with all of these said, I'm going to put you on the spot, actually. This won't be for the official prediction, all right?
Okay.
This is just top of the dome. What do you think could open the Summer Game Fest? And then hit me with your closer. Because the closer is what's going to be the prediction.
Yeah.
What are you brainstorming for your opener?
James Bond. 007.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think it would be an awesome way to open it. Because we've all, like, our entire friend group, but, I mean, so many people, like, who are gamers have been waiting for this game, have been waiting to see it. And the fact that, like, we're going to finally be seeing it is awesome. And I think that would be such a cool way to open it. Open it with something that we all know and love, James Bond. You hear that music, like, just imagine, man, the trailer, the gameplay opens up with just, like, the classic music, and it's got, like, the barrel turns red. That, like, if you started a show like that, I would be locked in. I would be so hyped. And then you follow it up with all the anime games that we're going to sadly get, and then I'll be sad. But that would be hype as hell if they open it with James Bond. So I really do see that being the opener.
Now let me see if I can spoil that fun for you real quickly. So IO Interactive is going to be doing a little presentation after the Summer Game Fest.
I saw that.
Where it shows Mind's Eye, which comes out in less than a week, that they're publishing. The new James Bond, which is called First Light. And then, why am I blanking on the third thing they're showing? They're showing a third game that I'm blanking on. I can look it up after when Drew's telling me about the closer. But does that change anything for you? Do they highlight that showcase, or did James Bond just not show up here? I think it would be a classic rookie mistake not to add James Bond here with a little bit of promotion.
Yeah,
The opening with that open, like the James Bond opening, would be epic. Also, when you said Amazon earlier, I was like, is he going to tie in the Amazon show that James Bond's going to be with the James Bond game? Now, that would have also been epic.
Yeah. I could see them doing like a trailer for Summer Game Fest and then actual like gameplay demo for the IO showcase that they're doing. That's kind of like the mindset that I have right now. I really do think it would be a mistake to not reveal James Bond at Summer Game Fest.
Agreed.
But again, that would just be like an incredible way to start the show.
The third thing that I was blanking on, rightfully so, was it's just new content for Hitman World of Assassination.
Gotcha.
Which is consistently like just getting better and better.
Yeah.
So shout out IO Interactive for being really cool. Because even though if Mind's Eye isn't your thing, if James Bond isn't your thing, if Hitman's not even your thing, consistently updating your games with free content, really cool stuff. Drewby, what is your closer? What do you think is going to end 2025 Summer Game Fest?
My closer is one that's a little bit safer, but it's also still going to be like an awesome closer, I feel like. We know that 2K is going to be there. We just had a Borderlands showcase with State of Play, so I don't think that we're going to get another Borderlands thing here. I would be.
I thought you were going to go there for a second.
No,
Drew, please, no.
No, I would be very upset.
That'd be Monster Hunter all over again.
Yeah, no. We already got a huge gameplay blowout trailers for Borderlands 4. They literally would not even have to show anything again for it. I feel like they've already sold like everyone on it, right?
Do some TV trailers and call it a day.
Yeah, we already got our GTA 6 trailer. That's not happening. Now, if they would have closed Summer Game Fest with that would be unreal. But we're not going to see GTA 6 again until next year, probably, or like towards the end of the year. So I think it's time for good old BioShock to come back. And I think that it would be the perfect way to close the show. It's a franchise that a lot of people love. This game has been in development for like 6 years now, so it's about ready to be done. I think that would be a really cool way to close the show with, again, something that like people are familiar with, but it has been so long. Like it, just like with James Bond, we haven't had a James Bond game in a really long time. BioShock, we haven't had a BioShock game since like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah, 2013.
Yeah, so it's been a long time. 12 years, man. That's crazy. But I think that would be really exciting to end the show again with a game that we know is coming, but we know nothing about. There's been very, very small amounts of like leaks / rumors, but like none of them have been super credible. So we don't know what this game is going to look like. I think that would be a really cool way to end the show. Be like, hey, we've got this game. It's coming out before GTA 6. Pick it up.
So while you were talking, I was thinking, I was like, I'm so glad Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't closing the show. And like, it made me curious. So I went over to YouTube. And this is just from Rockstar Official's YouTube page. The two trailers for Grand Theft Auto 6. The first one, obviously, being 2023, December. That trailer alone has 261 million views. The trailer 2 that released 4 weeks ago has 118 million views. So, in a little over a year and a half, two trailers have gotten almost 400 million views for a video.
Insane.
Thank God they're not doing that, because everything else in the showcase, even if Silk Song was shadow dropped, Liza P was shadow dropped, they had another Witcher 4 trailer, everything's being overshadowed by Grand Theft Auto 6.
100%.
This thing is such a behemoth. Like, it's the media behemoth at this point. Like, those are like Avenger numbers for trailers.
Yeah.
Which are like the highest grossing things of all time. Insanity.
Also, keep in mind, that's just on YouTube alone. When you factor in every other social media platform, they've done crazy numbers. Because I remember whenever the first trailer came out, they broke tons of records for like fastest watched trailer in the first 24 hours and stuff like that. And I mean, even the second trailer has broken a lot of records too. So, yeah, nobody would be talking about anything else other than GTA. It still would be like an insane way to end your show, though.
Oh, 100%.
But
that's the biggest get of biggest gets.
Yeah, but no, I think like we're in a cool space where like we could totally see BioShock here because we've already got GTA and Borderlands out of the way. So I think it would be really exciting. But I'm curious to hear your closer.
Just to clarify and close the Grand Theft Auto thing, yeah, Drewby's 100% correct. Those were just from Rockstar Official's YouTube channel. 400 million views in that time frame. That's not including everyone that's re-uploaded, every social media ever. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter are billions at this point. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Yeah, Drewby, that was another one that I had listed. I listed 3 at the bottom of my doc that I wanted to touch on, which was BioShock 4, Tomb Raider Reboot, and one that you might actually have in your other prediction. So I'm not going to say it out loud yet, but it's akin to BioShock. That's enough of the spoiler. You already know what I'm talking about when I said that. But yeah, I think that BioShock at this point would be big enough to close the show. That's something that would get headlines. It's something that most people are excited about, and marketing it as something that's brand new and you don't have to play the other ones. It can be in the BioShock universe without touching the first 3.
Yeah.
It can get a new generation into BioShock, which is exciting.
And I think that's one of the cool things about the game franchise. Obviously, like 1 or 2 are very like closely tied together, but even still, Infinite. Like I haven't played through 2, but as far as I know, like you don't have to necessarily play 1 to play 2. BioShock Infinite, like they're all connected in the same universe, but like they're like it's a different setting, different characters. You don't have to play the other 2 games to play Infinite. So that's like the really cool thing. Like this franchise is already set up to be like, hey, you don't have to play any of the other games. You can jump right in and enjoy it. But if you want to go back and play the others, you've got the remaster trilogy. So
I'm going to out myself here a little bit, Drewby. I've never finished any BioShock game. My friends were obsessed with 1 and 2 in high school. And I just never got into them. I didn't want to pay full price, and like I rented it a few times. The first one, trying to get into it, couldn't do it. Obviously, I'm dating myself here, saying that I rented video games physically at a store. Shout out Movie Gallery and shout out Darla's and my little town back home. Unfortunately, closed down a long time ago. But
Dang.
That's just the state of the world at this point. I'll have to do a podcast on just Darla's video store and the impact that little store had on me in my life and gaming ventures. But I never beat that. I remember Infinite distinctly being different than the other BioShocks. I remember getting the Game Informer back in the day with BioShock Infinite.
Yes,
I used
sir.
to just sit there and look at the images in that magazine and be like, man, I cannot wait to play this game.
Yeah.
Bought this one day 1 on the PS3. I played a lot of that game, but I never finished it. And like, I really love the steampunk aesthetic of that.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really, really good. It's a beautiful game. Even today, like the remaster isn't too much of a remaster. Like it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've actually been thinking about this a lot. That I really want to just go play it through 1 through 3. I just want to play the trilogy at this point.
Yeah.
And if is announced here, or I mean, it's been announced, right? Like officially.
They've said like, hey, we're working on a BioShock. Yeah.
Yeah. If they officially unveil it, though, I'll be pumped.
Yeah.
And it'll get me back in the old games, which again I own. I think almost on every storefront, including Steam. I have a problem with buying games and never playing them, Drew. Same thing with movies. I have way too many movies.
Yeah, same here.
Drew, my closer, I have 2 written down. I have a safe one that you may know about, and I have a little spicy one. Which one would you prefer that I do?
Hit me with the spicy one.
All right, Jeremy. Well, before I'll give you what the safe one was.
All right.
My safe one was Ghost of Yotei. Yotei. Gameplay. Followed by if you want to see more of this, and it's Sony announcing a state of play with it obviously dated. I was going to say August or September because that seems like a good time to show off more. But the state of play business has really thrown me for a loop.
Yeah.
Because sometimes state of plays are absolute bangers, like the one we literally got in February, where it showcased Housemarque's new game. We don't know where Wolverine is. We don't know what anything that Sony Santa Monica's doing. Apparently they're making 2 games. There's so much.
Naughty Dog is making a secret second game.
True. That's the one I was about to say, but I completely blanked on for a second. There's just so much that we do not know about. And them being at Summer Game Fest could be a multitude of things. And then again, it could be Astrobot DLC for like a summer DLC.
That'll get me hyped. I don't care.
Seriously. It legitimately would.
Yeah.
But like, there's such a wide spectrum of what we can expect from PlayStation. Because like, they haven't showed many of their cards. Like, they've fucked up a lot this generation.
Yeah. And they desperately need good PR right now after the shit show of Marathon in the last few weeks. So
they are the most peculiar publisher that I think exists at the moment. I can't wait for the books and the documentaries of what the hell happened during the PS5 generation. The handing off of the most successful console, at least from 4 to 3, is such a massive shift. It basically almost killed Xbox, where they've almost become a publisher over like an actual competitor to PlayStation at this point. It's quite insane. But with that said, I'm going to shift, Ruby, to something that isn't too far-fetched in my opinion, and I'll give you the reasons why. This game has been shown at a Keighley event. It is closed a Keighley event. It has been said by the developers that this game is closer than the last one was to its predecessor. It should come out within the next few years. I think 3 max, but within the next 2, I would suspect. I think that we get our first trailer for Final Fantasy VII Return. I think that them getting and being in bed with Jeff the last few years for Final Fantasy really bodes well. I don't think a Final Fantasy 17 is ready to be shown yet. I think that with what the section of Final Fantasy VII will be, which will be the final act, it won't be as open or bloated as Rebirth. You don't have to do as many side activities. Where the story is going to pick up, there isn't a grand amount left. It could use all the assets from Remake and Rebirth and just focus on the actual ending of the story. The reason I went with Return is because these stupid little idiots ruined it when they made Crisis Core and used Reunion with Crisis Core. The perfect word was used on the worst game of this subsection of Final Fantasy. Oh my, don't even get me started. This isn't the Final Fantasy VII podcast, even though it should be. And Jim would love that.
Yeah.
But, oh my god, I think that it'll be recalled Return. I don't know if I don't think they'll put a date on it, but I think that it'll be the tease for what comes next. And that gets me real pumped. What you think about that?
Yeah, I think definitely would be a massive hit. And it's like not too far-fetched. Like definitely like realistic.
Just wait for my swing for the fence.
Yeah, I'm curious now. But yeah, I would be really hyped. I have Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I started it like way back in the day. Only played like maybe like an hour or two of it. So I need to like properly play through it. And then why am I blanking on the second one's name? Rebirth, yeah. Rebirth, like you were saying, that trailer for it is unreal. Incredible reveal to the game. I want to play it, but obviously I can't because I haven't played Remake.
That's true.
So yeah, I think that would be super awesome. I think that it's realistic. Square Enix is already like confirmed to be there. So if not that, then what? You know?
Kingdom Hearts 4 just got screenshots.
That is true.
Like shared and like an update of like, hey, the game's going along well. I don't think that's here.
Yeah.
I don't think that's here for probably not even next year, to be honest with you. But like, Square has a few things they could do, but at the same time, it's like nothing is bigger than the end of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
One of the most popular games of all time. Like, you wanted to get this done within the decade. This sets you up for like, hey, this is going smoothly. Like the developers, I think it might be the producer or the director of the game, said semi-recently of like, everything is going swimmingly. Like there's no hiccups like there was from Rebirth to Remake.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, I suppose. And yeah, I think it's good to put the tease out now, and then the next time you show it can be gameplay, and then after that, it's the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point, it's going to be the tail end of the PS5 generation. That way that you can play the trilogy on PS5, they can repackage it for PS6.
Yeah.
But I feel like they really want to get this trilogy done.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that would be great. I think it would be awesome. And that does give me like a lot of confidence that like I don't know, I really see this as a possibility with like the devs saying like, hey, it's not nearly as far out as you'd expect. So yeah, I would be hyped. It's not necessarily what I want the show to end with, but I would be hyped.
Yeah. Well, once you play Remake and then Rebirth, you definitely will.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest ensembles ever in video games for a very good reason.
Yeah.
And Sephiroth is the GOAT of video game villains. I get his theme stuck in my head at least one time a day. That's how you freaking know a theme is good.
Yeah.
And just for quick clarity, even then, Remake came out in April of 2020 because we were in the pandemic, we were in lockdown. February 2024 is when Rebirth came out, and I believe it was the director. I could be wrong on that, but someone closely associated with the game said that it would not be the same length between games, which is a huge sign of confidence. Which means that hypothetically, it wouldn't take 4 years or just under for the next game to come, which puts it into 2027 at the latest. So when are we doing it? Like, no spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Original. Though, I will say quickly, I'll add a quick note. Final Fantasy, the remakes are doing something different with the games and the story and the characters than the original. So even if you've played the original and you're like, I don't really want this, it's like, well, you probably do. Just trust me. As an avid fan of both, I would recommend both. Drewby needs to get on Remake. Remake is freaking incredible. They took a small section of that game and turned it into what I view as a masterpiece with a little baggage, but we'll get into that in the Final Fantasy VII podcast. Man, it's such a good time. I actually before Rebirth, I went back to Final Fantasy VII and beat it on hard mode for the platinum. Got the platinum. I attempted to get the platinum for Crisis Core, but that game is so damn grindy, it's ridiculous. Same thing with Rebirth. A lot of bloat. But no spoilers for the original Final Fantasy VII. But the point in which the story leaves off in Rebirth, there's not a gajillion things left for it to do and places to explore. You're pretty much in a pretty big open world section in the original at this point. Everything's open to you, but in terms of content, there's not a lot. Obviously, they're going to add a lot, but for development cycle timing, it lines up with what they're saying. Like, we're going to get this game sooner rather than later. Drewby, last prediction.
Yeah.
The swing for the fences. Bases are loaded.
This is a swing for the
Grand
fences
slam
for
time.
sure. I am
Grand slam time.
I am going for it with this one. We know PlayStation is going to be there. We've got the state of play tomorrow. It just got leaked, right? That we're getting a reveal for Resident Evil 9 like really soon. That's happening tomorrow at the state of play. That's not happening at Summer Game Fest. You know what I think could happen at Summer Game Fest? What I hope for? I do not want Ghosts of Yotai at Summer Game Fest.
Okay.
We've already seen a good amount of the game in terms of trailers, and I'm expecting to get a state of play of gameplay at a later date. Maybe we'll get another trailer at the state of play, but we just had a trailer like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It was very recent. So I'm like, I don't know. That feels like a little bit too soon for me. They've already sold people on the game. It's another Ghost game. Like, you don't really have to do much more than that.
That's very true.
It is time. It is time to reveal this game. If it's not at Summer Game Fest, then please let it be at the Game Awards. But with Jeff being the guy that he is and his relationship with PlayStation, Corey Barlog, please, or Belrog, please give us your game reveal. Please, I need it. It's time. It's been too long. And I know it's a Grand Slam. I know that, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but will I get disappointed if it's not going to be there? No, because I don't have a ton of expectations for it to be there. But the fact that we got not just a game reveal for Intergalactic in December, but also like in-engine stuff, I was not expecting that. I was expecting just like a CGI trailer, and we didn't get that, which is crazy. I want something like that for Santa Monica. And they've done that before. When they revealed God of War 2018, they revealed that with gameplay. Now, I don't know if they'd go that hard, but to get like something in engine, I need that. But I want to know what Corey's been up to, man. Like, this game has been in development for so long now, and a new IP from them is super exciting. And I don't know, it's time. It's time. And this would be the perfect time for Sony to be like, hey, we have had a lot of bad PR. We flopped Conquered. We are basically flopping. We're flopping freaking Marathon right now. Like, they're not even gonna finish the race with that.
They took the money sign off of Fair Games too, by the way. It's just Fair Games.
Yeah, that that game is probably not even gonna come out now because their director left. Like, all of the multiplayer stuff that they've had lined up is flopping hard right now. It's falling apart. And recently, the PlayStation had said something along the lines of like, hey, we're going to scale back that push. We're going to kind of go back to doing the single player stuff. But they really do need that good PR right now. They need to have people knowing that, like, hey, we've just got Ghosts coming out later this year, but we've got games coming out next year and the year after. Because we don't have like any signs of that right now other than Intergalactic. But if they have more than one game, including Wolverine and all that, I think that would be really cool. But I don't know, man. I would be so happy if we got to see this game, even if it's like something that like I don't necessarily get as hyped for it as I would think I would. I'm ready to see what Corey's been cooking, because he cooked with God of War 2018, and I don't know, like I would let him make anything.
Drew Bean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I got two things here. That God of War 2018 reveal is probably my favorite game reveal of all time.
Yeah. The live music too. Oh, man.
Exactly. I think that's what opened one of the last years. I think it opened, but it was one of the last years that Sony was at E3.
Yeah.
Bear McCreary, I think that's how you say it, was there. He was the audio. He was the game's audio director, the composer. Jesus. For both God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. He was there with the orchestra playing the soundtrack. The live score accompanying that gameplay. And it was, keep in mind that this was before that we knew that this was even happening. We knew there was a new God of War coming, but we did not know third person, over the shoulder, more combat, but a different kind of combat than the original God of War. For all intents and purposes, this was a reboot. Like, there's still, I guess, minor spoilers for God of War. There's still callbacks and stuff from the older games. I guess it's not a spoiler, more of a heads up for playing the other games. But yeah, like, you didn't have to play those old games to get into this one. This was a retelling of a different story. Man, that, it gives me chills just thinking about that. I'll never forget that E3. I'll never forget that. Like, I remember exactly where I was. It was one of those things where I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about the Master Chief Collection coming to PlayStation. And they were like, that's going to be one of those where were you moments. And that's the 2018 God of War reveal was a where were you moment.
Yeah.
The same thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake, Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, those things are so intrinsically tied into my brain of like what I was doing, like almost what I was wearing, like where I was at, watching it with who I was watching it with. Like, it's an insane thing this has, but it was incredible. So here's my hot take, Drewby. I don't think that's a swing for the fences.
Wow.
I think it's possible that you see that. I think that if there was a game to close Summer Game Fest for Sony, that it should be that.
Yeah.
I think Ghost of Yotei was really like a safe thing for like how conservative Sony has been. But if you're going to reveal something like let's be honest, they're kind of changing the way they're doing it. And I'm thinking of this out loud as it comes across my brain. They revealed Intergalactic in December. In February, they opened with Housemarque's new game, Sorrows. If they wanted to stay consistent, tomorrow they would announce, or maybe even revisit, Wolverine. Show that game for what it actually is, because it's been 2.5 to 3 years since we've seen the Wolverine thing. Going on 3 years, I think. I think it was June of 2022 when they announced it, that huge showcase with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Actually, no, that's wrong. Miles Morales was 2020. I lied. Spider-Man 2. Yeah, because it was the Venom trailer. I understand that the leaks and stuff happened in Insomniac, and that's very heartbreaking, and I really do feel bad for for everyone over there. I actually don't live that far away from Insomniac's offices, so I have a soft spot even for that.
Yeah.
North Carolina represent, North Carolina supremacy, hashtag it, Jimmy. Yeah, I don't think that it would, like, I feel like if you want an exclusive from Sony, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You're not going to get the next Naughty Dog thing. You're not going to get, like, you know what I was going to say. It's fine. You're not, like, that's the biggest get from Sony right now, is the next Santa Monica game that isn't God of War.
Yeah.
There is actually, I'm not even going to mention it. Should I mention it? There's a leak / rumors / speculation of what's going to be there at this Sony, or not, at the Sony thing tomorrow. Fuck it, I'm going to say it. It's basically unconfirmed to be there. or unconfirmedly confirmed to be there. It's the Greek God of War game, but it's not 3D. It's a 2.5 kind of Metroidvania type game.
Interesting.
So I saw Insider Gaming posted something about the state of play. Someone responded and was like, "Hey, where's this at? I've heard a few things about this." They were like, "Hey, I've heard that this, like, it changed in scale. It got dialed back a little bit." And then Jeff Grubb responded with, "Yeah," in terms of like maybe seeing it tomorrow. So that's pretty exciting. But that's also not. That's not Corey's game.
No.
That's not the space game that we've been hearing about.
Yeah.
And it's going to be closer than we think as well, just due to the fact that he spun off of 2018, didn't do Ragnarok to do this game. So, if there was a huge Sony game there, I think it would be that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So, not to hype you up too much, man, but let me give you a real swing for the fences, Drew.
All right.
Welcome to the mega corporation of Cope. All right. There's a logo on the Summer Game Fest graphic that's always there. Usually it's for giveaways. Usually it's for hardware. Usually. But 2025 isn't a usual year, Drew. We're halfway through the decade.
Yep.
At the end of this month, we'll be halfway through the decade. Crazy to think about, right?
Crazy.
You know what's even crazier to think about, Drewby? Is that Steam loves the Steam Deck. Steam loves its OS. It loves coming to other places. What it doesn't love doing is making a third entry. Until now. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's dead, there's locks. Where there's games, there's Steam. Half-Life 3 is going to close the Summer Game Fest 2025. There's so many rumors that have been unconfirmed, but have been checkmarked by people who know things. There is so much tied between Jeff Keighley and Steam. Gabe Newell is going to get off the couch. He's going to be on the Summer Game Fest stage. And behind him, we'll say Half-Life 3. It's real, Drewby. Grand Slam. Game 7 of the World Series. Bases loaded. I hit it to the freaking moon. Half-Life 3 is coming!
Man. That's the only other thing that could possibly take over a GTA 6 reveal.
Legitimately.
Yeah, no, that's actually something that I had thought about, and I almost made it my Grand Slam, but I was like, something is telling me that Sony is going to do something big, and they need it.
They do. They really need it.
They really, really need it, but, you know, hot take. I don't think that's too far-fetched.
Ooh.
I think that could be a reality, if not here, the Game Awards.
One of the two. I think it's going to happen.
It really will. Valve has been cooking a Half-Life 3. Like, there's been too many rumors for it not to be. The fact that they made a completely new engine, they made the second iteration of their engine. Is it it's not Creation. Why am I blanking on what it's called? Source yes. 2. They didn't do that for Counter-Strike 2. Like, obviously, like, they did, but they didn't make it for that game specifically. They also didn't just make it for VR Half-Life, which that game heavily teases Half-Life 3.
Yep.
It's happening. And it's happening in this console generation.
I think so too. I think Alex came out in 2019. The way that Steam operates so silently, Deadlock literally came out of thin air.
Yeah.
So like I can be skeptical about like just a new game from Steam, and Valve, I suppose, but there's just too much pointing to this game being real. It's real. There's no way it's not real. In the same way that Left 4 Dead 3 was real until it wasn't. This game exists, whether we know about it or not. And it's going to close the show.
Oh, man.
And we're going to win the World Series collectively because Half-Life 3 exists.
Dude, what if it ends up being there but actually opens the show?
Good luck trying to get anything else out the window.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, we're not going to talk about anything else besides Half-Life 3.
No.
Everyone's getting on their phones, and Jeff Keighley's going to be talking to thin air. Like,
yeah,
there's no way. Yeah, that's my Grand Slam prediction.
Yeah. Nah, I think that's a good one. Dude, the hype levels would be insane, and that's coming from someone who has not finished any of the Half-Life games, which I don't know how I haven't. Like, I have them. I've had them for years. I could play them, and I just haven't. I need to, but I would be super hyped.
I bought the orange box for Xbox 360. God knows how long.
Same.
Because a friend was like, "You would love Portal," and then I played Portal multiple times to never finish it. So Ryan from Smashcast wants to do a playthrough with me so that he ensures that I finish it. So we'll probably do that once I finish Portal 1 so that we can play Portal 2 together. But
nice.
He also wants to do it on Switch, which is not surprising because he's a Nintendo. He doesn't own any modern console, and he uses an iMac. So,
hey, if you ever do want to play Portal 2 on the PC, you boys got it.
I have it installed right now, actually. Let me go double check that. Yep, I do. Yeah, Jerby, I have one game that I want to bring up that we haven't talked about.
Okay.
So, while we do that, do you think of any games that you may want to talk about? If there's none, that's fine, because obviously we don't know much going into the Summer Game Fest, which makes it quite exciting. The only game that I want to bring up is the adjacent cousin to your closer, which would be Judas. Do we see Judas? That game has been MIA for a very long time.
It has. And whenever people played it last year, I think it was, or the year before, I can't remember, they were like, it's not finished, but they were like, the game's very far along. So, I don't know. And there's a YouTuber that I follow, Thomas Brush. He's an indie dev, makes games on his own. He interviews a lot of indie devs, but he's also been branching out and interviewing bigger game developers for his podcast. And he actually had Ken Levine from the creator of BioShock and Judas. He interviewed him earlier this year, like maybe in March or February. And he couldn't really like talk a lot about Judas, obviously, but he did give some like details on things. I don't know. I think it could be here for sure. It would make sense. The publisher name or the developer name is not listed on the list, but that doesn't mean that they can't show up. Like, we all know that they'll probably have some like surprises in there.
Do we know who's publishing it?
Can't remember. It might be self-published, actually.
That's a good point. I can't recall.
But I know for sure it's not 2K.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2K's on there, but it's not gonna be. It's probably gonna be a Borderlands 4 trailer as always.
Please no. But yeah, I'll go double check who's publishing it.
Is there any other games that you want to talk about?
It's self-published. Other games that I want to talk about, honestly, I think like all of the heavy hitters that I was like kind of expecting, I've listed. There's other games that I'm like, oh, it would be cool to see there, but like I just don't think it's gonna happen. Like EA is not on the list, so I don't think we're gonna see Battlefield or Skate there. which I thought for sure we would see both, but we might not. So, and then also Ubisoft isn't listed either, which is very interesting. So we may not even see Splinter Cell, which would be pain.
They're not even doing their own like showcases or anything, so it's very peculiar.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the games that I really wanted to talk about we've already discussed.
I agree. And again, we don't know everything that's going into this. I feel like every year we feel like we know a vast majority of things that we're going to see.
Yeah. And this is the first year where we don't. Like, there hasn't really been any big leaks, which that makes it more exciting for me. I like being able to go in and be surprised. So, I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of leaks leading up, probably. And if not, there'll be, like, official, like today, Dying Light confirmed they were there, which isn't, like, doesn't ruin the surprise or anything, but, like, that one actually gets me excited of, like, okay, we get to see Dying Light again.
Yeah.
With a release date, thankfully. So, like, those kind of things work for me. If they don't work for you, I would suggest staying away from Twitter and probably Facebook for a little while, because people are going to be out and about and talking, because that's what everyone does. And especially when everyone gets together in one place and starts talking about things on and off the record that they shouldn't talk about, but that's also how we get juicy stories to talk about. So
for sure.
As always, thank you guys for watching and listening to the Casket Minds podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now Twitch. The link tree is in the description. If you want to follow us personally, I'm at Marikarth. And Drewby?
Drewbaka with 3 A's on Twitter.
That's a thick name right there.
It is dummy thick.
Until next time, share, like, subscribe. Share it with someone that you think would enjoy the channel. See you guys very soon for Sony and Xbox predictions and reactions. See you next time.